Alright, we are here with our very non-kosher round. I don't think he's surviving that.
Privyet, moi tovareshi. My name's Comrade Vadim, and you're watching Season 2 of Ranking Every Assassin's Marksmanship. Let's dive in. Today we have a very exciting episode where we will be looking at the assassination of Soviet politician, Bolshevik revolutionary, and member of the Politburo, Sergei Kirov. We'll be diving into the story on how fellow Bolshevik Leonid Nikolaev assassinated Kirov. Sergei Mironovich Kirov was born March 27, 1886, in Uruzhurum, in Vyatka Governorate of the Russian Empire. That's current-day Kirov Oblast. I wonder who that's named after. His childhood as one of 7 children was shrouded in tragedy. 4 of his older siblings died, his father abandoned the family, and his mother tragically died of tuberculosis, all before Sergei was 7 years old. After a brief stint living with his babushka, he was left for the orphanage system of Imperial Russia. However, at the age of 15, he would be granted a scholarship to attend an industrial school in Kazan, which would later lead to him getting an engineering degree. After graduating with this engineering degree, however, he moved to Tomsk and eventually became a Marxist. And he joined the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, or the RSDLP, which will later evolve into the Bolshevik Party and later the Soviet Communist Party. Now, Kirov is considered an old Bolshevik. That means that he's been part of the Bolshevik Party since before the First Russian Revolution in 1905. Other old Bolsheviks that you may recognize include the big names like Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin, but also include Sergei Kusev, Andrei Bubunov, and Mikhail Tomsky. So let's talk briefly about Kirov's rise in the ranks through the Bolshevik Party. As I mentioned, he joined the RSDLP right after college, probably very early 1905, maybe very late 1904. His first job in the Labor Party was as a printer's assistant. This would be to print and distribute illegal literature, such as Lenin's Что делать, or What is to be done. However, this did eventually get him arrested. He would be arrested and serve 3 years in jail, where he would remain until 1909. After his release in 1909, his time in the Labor Party was quiet. He moved away and started writing some revolutionary literature under a pseudonym. That is until the February Revolution in 1917. The February Revolution marked the end of the Romanov dynasty as Tsar Nicholas II stepped down from the throne. In the following months after the February Revolution, a number of provisional governments rose up and then subsequently collapsed. That is until the October Revolution, when the RSDLP, now mainly called the Bolshevik Party, finally took control. At this point, the Bolshevik Party exploded in numbers, and Kirov, as an old Bolshevik, immediately rose very high in the rankings. He was initially given a post in Astrakhan and eventually moved to Azerbaijan. It was here, while serving in Azerbaijan, that he became very popular with the General Secretary of the Communist Party. Maybe you've heard of him, Joseph Stalin, the Man of Steel. Stalin, as General Secretary, implemented his infamous 5-year plan of industrialization and forced collectivism. And Kirov was very popular because he supported Stalin's 5-year plan, not only with his words, but also through his actions in Azerbaijan. Because of this loyalism to Stalin, Kirov was moved to St. Petersburg, now called Leningrad, for a new post, Secretary in Leningrad of the Bolshevik Party. Additionally, he was also invited to be a member of the 16th and 17th Politburo. It was because of these positions in Leningrad and the Politburo that he became one of Stalin's top men. Leonid Vasilievich Nikolaev was born May 10, 1904, in St. Petersburg, Russian Empire. Not a lot is documented on Nikolaev's childhood, but we do know that it was very hard. As an adult, Nikolaev showed signs of malnutrition and plenty of dissident behavior, obviously, which likely stemmed from a very difficult childhood. As an adult, like many dissident men, he joined the Bolshevik Party. However, Leonid was not a good communist. He frequently moved job to job because he didn't like them. This was not the united working attitude that Lenin needed to build up his new regime. For that reason, the Leningrad Bolshevik Party expelled him. By this point, Kirov had already risen to the rank of Secretary in Leningrad of the Bolshevik Party, as well as had become an established member of the Politburo. So it's not difficult to understand why Nikolaev had beef with Kirov. because his expulsion would have stemmed from or been approved by Kirov directly. Even worse, Nikolaev had started to suspect his wife of cheating on him with Kirov of all people. However, many historians agree that this likely didn't happen and that Nikolaev had already been going insane by this point, and these accusations that his wife was cheating on him, especially with Kirov, was a fabrication of his imagination. However, it did continue to fuel the hatred in his heart for the Bolshevik Party and for Kirov. In fact, he often wrote in his diary about striking a blow to the party. The writings in the months leading up to his final act against the party have been described by historians as full of rage against party bureaucracy. As part of this final descent into jealousy, anger, and madness, he actually broke into the Smolny Institute in mid-October, a month and a half before he would go on to break in again and assassinate Kirov. However, in this mid-October attempt, he had been loitering near Kirov's office for far too long, started raising some suspicions from the guards, and finally got arrested. Even worse, as he was being questioned by the guards at the Smolny Institute, they found a Nagant revolver on him. He was subsequently taken to jail for trespassing and illegal possession of a firearm. However, and we'll get to this a little bit more later, that's why I'm telling you this story, Ivan Zaporozhets, the deputy director of the Leningrad NKVD, received orders from Genrikh Yagoda, the director of the NKVD, to not only free Nikolaev, but to give him his firearm back. This event, as well as everything else happening to him, only drove him closer to his final act against this party. It's now December 1st, 1934. Nikolaev is back in the Smolny Institute, where Kirov continues to work. Despite his recent run-in at the Smolny Institute, he snuck back in and once again has a Nagant revolver. We'll talk about how or why he did this again a little bit later, but for now let's focus on the cold hard facts. Nikolaev made his way up near Kirov's office, tucked himself in a nook or cranny so that no one would see him, and patiently waited for Kirov to walk by. Unlike last time in October though, this time he would not be seen. Unlike Nikolaev, Kirov's luck had ran out. As he left his office, his typical security had weirdly been lessened since the October attack, and his remaining guards were missing. The only one accompanying him today was his unarmed friend/bodyguard, Commissar Borisov, who was trailing him by a substantial distance. For Nikolaev, the stars had aligned. As Kirov walked down the hall, possibly turned a corner and unsuspectingly passed Nikolaev, Nikolaev took a few steps to get directly behind Kirov. Once Nikolaev had caught up, he brought the Nagant revolver up to the base of Kirov's skull and fired a single shot, killing him instantly. Now, the weapon of choice for Nikolaev was the Nagant M1895 revolver, designed by the Belgian Nagant brothers, who famously worked with Sergei Mosin on the Mosin Nagant rifle. This revolver was first introduced in, you guessed it, 1895 for the Russian Empire. It was very popular, and like many Russian guns, it still sees some limited service today. It is famous in both the Soviet Union and abroad for both assassinations and executions alike. Outside of this event, Resident Minister Lord Moyne of Egypt was assassinated with this weapon, and it was also said to be the weapon of choice for many of the executioners down in the basements of the Lubyanka. It's likely very popular because this is one of the only revolvers where, when you cock the hammer, the cylinder will move up to the barrel, allowing it to be one of the few revolvers to be able to be silenced. The cartridge used is the 7.62x38R, however, some included a 32 ACP cylinder like the one I have here. As far as service weapons go for the Soviet Union, this is the only service weapon to use the 7.62x38R. However, a few experimental guns also use this round, as it seems Fyodor Tokarev also liked experimenting with this cartridge. As you can see, this is a very strange looking cartridge. The neck of the case protrudes beyond the tip of the projectile, so it's safe to say that this cartridge is not Jewish. The gun can hold up to 7 rounds of .38R, however, as we just heard, Nikolaev only needed 1. So as we talked about before, Nikolaev snuck into the Smolny Institute on December 1st, 1934, went up near Kirov's office and hid where he wouldn't be seen. So as Kirov was walking down the hallway of the Smolny Institute and made that corner, Nikolaev would be less likely to be seen and spotted by Kirov, because by this point, Kirov likely would have recognized him, not only because he had been kicked out of the party, but because of the October encounter. So as Kirov walked by, all Nikolaev had to do was catch up by a few steps, put the barrel up to Kirov's neck, and fire. Immediately after the assassination, if you're familiar with Joseph Stalin at all, it's not hard to guess what happened. Nikolaev, as well as many other co-conspirators, were arrested and swiftly tried. Nikolaev had a secret trial 4 weeks after the assassination. He was found guilty, sentenced to execution by firing squad, and was executed hours, if not minutes, after being found guilty. In addition to this, many of the guards and government officials for both Kirov and the Smolny Institute were found to be negligent in the assassination and sentenced up to 10 years in prison, or more likely, labor camps. Surprisingly, however, those tried, even if in a show trial, were the lucky ones. Commissar Borisov, being the closest person to Kirov at the time, was detained by the NKVD, or the secret police. The day after Kirov's assassination, Borisov fell out of an NKVD vehicle and died. Even Borisov's wife wasn't safe. She was detained and found to be insane, and she was sentenced to be in an insane asylum for the rest of her life. A friend of the NKVD officer Ivan Zaporozhets was found guilty of supplying the Nagant revolver to Nikolaev and was shot without a trial. But there's still something odd about this. Why was Kirov's security reduced after the October encounter? Why was Nikolaev set free by the top official in the secret police? Why were the majority of the people charged with this crime part of the NKVD? And why was Joseph Stalin so outspokenly heartbroken about his death, but still included Kirov's likeness as part of the Great Purge? Well, let me tell you, Stalin has his ways. While this event happened many years before the official start of the Bolshoi Terror, or the Great Purge, Kirov is widely accepted to be one of the first victims of Stalin's political purging. Kirov was well known for being a strong leader, self-driven and independent, and was widely accepted to be the heir to Stalin. However, in the words of Nikita Khrushchev, the actual successor of Joseph Stalin, everywhere and in everything he saw enemies, double dealers, and spies. Kirov was no exception. It's still very likely, but not proven, that Stalin gave the orders to take Kirov out. And this task would have been handed over to Genrikh Yagoda, the director of the NKVD. Yagoda would have worked very closely with Zaporozhets, and if you recall, both of them were the ones who released Nikolaev after the October encounter. Between these two men, they could have easily armed Nikolaev, let him into the building, freed him after being detained, lessened the security around both Kirov and the Smolny Institute, and then subsequently punished and killed both Nikolaev and all others close to the matter. Others theorize that this event truly was tragic and that Stalin had no hand in it. However, even if this were true, these theorists agree that Stalin is a man of opportunity, and if this were the case, he would have used this event to go on and push the Great Purge. And with that, one of the most unexpected and mysterious assassinations in Russian history has been told. But we're still missing something. What was it? Oh, that's right. How good of a marksman was Leonid Nikolaev? Let's go to the range and find out.
Hello guys! Thank you so much, past Comrade Vadim, for that great story of Sergei Kirov and Leonid Nikolaev. We are out at the range with the Nagant revolver. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Comrade Vadim, for this. Please guys, like, subscribe, comment. It's expensive to get you the real guns. But we're here to recreate the assassination of Sergei Kirov. So as we just heard, Leonid Nikolaev snuck into the Smolny Institute and shot Sergei Kirov with a single bullet from a Nagant revolver. It's a very close shot. He probably wayed behind that corner like we talked about, turned the corner as Sergei turned, put it right up to his neck, and shot a single bullet. So let's go set up the shot and see how good of a marksman Leonid Nikolaev really was. So before we get to the recreation, we need to do a little warm-up. First of all, the Nagant revolver is very cool. Very old. This one happens to be from 1945, so right at the end of the war, this thing was produced. The cylinder doesn't move out, so you actually have to go one by one right in there. And when it's time to take your casings out, there's this little screw right here. You unscrew it, pops this rod out. This whole assembly will rotate, and then you line it up, and it will pop the shell out right there. 7 shots. Now the Nagant has both single and double action. Let's do a couple single action and a couple double action. Now the amount of force to pull the trigger in double action is exceptionally difficult. It was built for strong Soviet men, which I may be a Soviet man, but I am not strong. So let's do this again. So I may look weak there, and I am, but I cannot express to you how heavy this trigger pull is. I probably need to go get a tester, but I have read online that it is upwards of 20 pounds. Alright, so this is Sergei Kirov today. I'm, of course, Leonid Nikolaev, and I need you guys to use your imagination as we are not in the Smolny Institute. This is a hallway. This right over here is another hallway. I'm going to be waiting on the corner. Kirov is going to pass me, somehow not notice me with my revolver, and I'm going to turn the corner, put one right in the back of his neck. As you can see, this target has a few in the back of the neck. We definitely didn't just film this in slow-mo the entire time. This is our first try, I promise. Alright, we are here with our very non-kosher round. Let's see how hard it is. I don't think he's surviving that. Alright, let's go again. Once again, not surviving that. And it's not science if we don't do it 3 times. Ooh, not a good day. Sergei, not looking too good there, my friend. So, as you can see, we got 3 shots, maybe 6 shots, right in the neck without any difficulty. No shots anywhere else on the body. So, not a very difficult shot for any marksman. So, because of that, we're going to give Leonid Nikolaev below average marksmanship in the D category.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this story of Sergei Kirov and Leonid Nikolaev. If you didn't know about it, I hope I could have taught you something, and I hope you enjoyed the recreation of the shot out at the range. If you haven't already, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Did I get something wrong? Did I miss a crucial fact? Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Go check out the other videos, and I'll see you next time. Do svidaniya.